Dear loving children, welcome to the online class. In the previous class, we already learned about what brought about a feeling of nationalism among Indians. We studied that it was the anti-colonial feeling that brought about the feeling of nationalism, unity among the people of India. Various groups of people were fed up with the British policies. So they were angry with the policies of the British. So they all united together under Mahatma Gandhi to achieve freedom for our country. Freedom from the British rule. We also studied about what is Satyagraha, how Mahatma Gandhi introduced Satyagraha, non-violence, to achieve his goal of Swaraj. He was against the use of violence. He believed that people should use Satyagraha as a means to achieve their goal. So in Satyagraha, we studied truth is a sole force. The Satyagrahi doesn't want to cause any harm to the enemy. Then we studied about what was Rowlatt Act, why Gandhiji protested against Rowlatt Act, because according to this act, any person, political prisoner can be arrested, political activist can be arrested and put in jail for 2 years without trial, no appeal, no vakil. We also saw the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, the killing of large number of people in Jallianwala Bagh. So now let us move on to the next question. Why Khilafat movement was launched in 1919? The First World War ended with the defeat of Ottoman Turkey. You know, we have earlier studied the First World War was fought between one side Germany, Austria, Hungary and Turkey. On the other side we saw Britain, France, Russia, later America. There were rumors that a harsh treaty was going to be imposed on the Ottoman Emperor, the spiritual head of Islamic world, the Khalifa. There were rumors that a harsh treaty was going to be imposed on the Ottoman Emperor, who is also the spiritual head of the Islamic world, the Khalifa. And it was feared that the Khalifa's powers will be lost. To defend the powers of a Khalifa, a Khilafat committee was formed by Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali brothers. In order to defend the powers of Khalifa, the Khilafat committee was formed in 1919 by Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali brothers. Gandhiji saw this an opportunity to bring Muslims under the umbrella of unified national movement. So Gandhiji also supported this movement, and Gandhiji made the non-cooperation Khilafat movement in 1921. So Gandhiji saw this an opportunity, a chance to bring unity between Hindus and Muslims, so that you can bring Hindus and Muslims under the umbrella of a unified national movement. The next question: when was non-cooperation Khilafat movement was launched? How did Indians participate in it? The movement was launched in January 1921 by Mahatma Gandhi. The movement began with the surrender of titles that the government awarded. So the movement began in various stages. The movement began with the surrender of titles like Rai Bahadur, some other titles given by the government at that time. Next, foreign goods were boycotted. People refused to use foreign goods, refused to buy foreign goods, refused to use foreign goods. Foreign goods were boycotted. Boycott means refuse to use. Liquor shops were picketed and foreign clothes were burned in huge bonfire. Foreign clothes were brought out and burned in huge bonfire and gave fire to the foreign clothes. The liquor shops were picketed. Students left schools and colleges. Thousands of students left schools and colleges. Headmasters and teachers resigned and lawyers gave up their practice in the court. So headmasters and teachers resigned. Lawyers gave up their practice. The council elections were boycotted. So even the elections were boycotted. In many places, Indian merchants refused to trade in foreign goods or finance foreign trade. In many places, Indian merchants refused to trade in foreign goods or finance foreign trade. People boycotted army, police and civil services. So in this question we learned when was the non-cooperation Khilafat movement was launched. It was launched in January 1921, and how people participated in the towns, how they participated in the non-cooperation movement, that is what we have seen. So now let us move on to the next question. What was the economic impact of non-cooperation movement in 1921? As a result, people boycotted foreign goods. As a result, people boycotted foreign goods. Liquor shops were picketed and foreign clothes burned in huge bonfires. In many places, merchants refused to trade in foreign goods or finance foreign trade. The import of foreign clothes reduced to 50%. Please note down, this point is very important. The import of foreign clothes reduced to 50% and its value decreased from 102 crores in 1921 to 57 crores in 1922. So the British government suffered a loss of almost 45 crores. So the import of foreign clothes reduced to 50% and the value of import reduced from 102 crores. In 1921, 102 crores business they did with India. But when people started boycotting foreign goods, they refused to use the foreign clothes. The British suffered a loss of 45 crore rupees loss in 1922. People discarded imported clothes and the production of Indian textile mills and the handlooms went up. So it was a blessing for Indian textile mills and handlooms. The production of Indian textile mills and the handlooms went up. People discarded, avoided imported clothes. These are some of the pictures of a non-cooperation movement, led by Mahatma Gandhi. You can see Mahatma Gandhi making threat with the help of a charka, asking be Indian, buy Indian, and refuse to buy foreign clothes or foreign goods. Next question, why did non-cooperation movement slow down? This is very often we ask a question, why the non-cooperation movement which was started in 1921, why it slowed down? First reason, khadi cloth was very expensive than mass-produced mill-made cloth. The khadi cloth was very expensive than the mill-made cloth which was mass-produced and imported from Britain to India, the mill-made cloth was much more cheaper. Poor people could not afford to buy it. The poor people could not afford to buy khadi because khadi was very costly, expensive. They could not buy it. Mill-made cloth was cheaper. Alternative institutions were slow to come up. Alternative institutions, all the institutions were under the British. Schools, colleges, court, all the institutions were under the British. Alternative institutions were very slow to come up. Alternative Indian institutions were very slow to come up. So the teachers and students began to go back to schools. So the teachers and students, they had no other choice. So they had to go back to the schools run by the British government. Lawyers also joined to work in government courts. So it's an important question. Let us come to the next question. Swaraj meant different things to different people. Explain with examples. Swaraj means independence. Purna Swaraj means a complete independence. Swaraj meant freedom. Swaraj means freedom. Independence meant different things to different people. Explain with examples. As we go through these examples, things will be more clear to you. First of all, let us find out what did Swaraj mean to the peasants, the farmers. The peasants faced many problems. They were facing the problem of high land revenue and other taxes. They were forced to do beggar. So what did Swaraj mean to the peasants? Swaraj meant the reduction of land revenue. Land revenue should be reduced and other cesses or taxes should be reduced. It also meant abolition of beggar, free labor which they were forced to do. Where beggar means the peasants were supposed to do free labor for the landlords. It also meant security of land tenure. They want security of land tenure. The peasants were not sure whether they would get the land for cultivation the next year. The land was given on lease to them, and they were not sure whether they would get the land for cultivation the very next year. Next one, social boycott of oppressive landlords. Boycott of oppressive landlords. Those landlords who were very oppressive, who were very cruel, who were exploiting. So they organized Nai Dhobi Bandh was organized. Those oppressive landlords here, the Nai barber refused to cut, and the washerman refused to wash the clothes of the such oppressive landlords. So they organized Nai Dhobi Bandh. Dhobi means washerman, Nai means barber. Let us find out what did Swaraj mean to the tribals. For the tribals, they considered entering the forest and collecting fuel wood and fruits and collecting various other products from the forest, or entering the forest to graze their cattle. They considered it as their traditional right. But the British people came and they categorized forest into reserved forest, protected forest, all these categories, and such kind of laws, forest laws, prevented the tribals from entering the forest. So they were angry. The tribals were angry because they were denied the traditional right to enter forest and collect various forest products. So what did Swaraj mean to the tribals? For the tribals, Swaraj meant freedom to collect fuel wood, the wood for cooking, and fruits from the forest. Freedom to enter forest to graze their cattle. Swaraj meant the freedom to enter forest to graze their cattle. It also meant abolition of beggar. They were also forced to do free labor. Maybe construction, they were asked to do free labor construction for the construction of roads, etc. So they were angry. So in this, you can do one more extra question. I will give an account of Alluri Sitaram Raju. That question you should do it on your own. An assignment for you. Give an account of Alluri Sitaram Raju. Alluri Sitaram Raju, he was from the Golden Hills of Andhra Pradesh. So he was a hero among the tribals. Please go through that page and the tribals area section, and you can write about Alluri Sitaram Raju. Plantation workers. What did Swaraj mean to the plantation workers? For plantation workers, Swaraj meant freedom to move in and out of the confined space in the plantations. They want the freedom to move in and out of the confined. Confined means they were almost imprisoned in the plantations, and there was an area was earmarked for them to stay. And they wanted to have the freedom to move in and out of that area in which they used to live. In the plantations, there are places for the workers to live. A kind of colony for the workers was built. They were allowed to remain there only. So they wanted freedom to move in and out of that confined space in the plantations. It also meant retaining a link with the village from which they came to work. They want to establish a link with the village. They wanted to go back to their village during maybe festival days, maybe Diwali, maybe Dasara. So Janmashtami, on such occasions they wanted to go home. Maybe on the occasion of somebody's marriage or death. It also meant retaining, establishing a link with the village from which they came to work. Most of the workers came from Bihar, Orissa, and they were working in the tea gardens of Assam, Bongai Gaon. So you find they were not allowed to. Under the Inland Emigration Act of 1859, they were not permitted to leave the tea gardens without permission. Under the Inland Emigration Act 1859, they were not permitted to leave the tea gardens without permission, and this permission was granted very rarely. Very rarely they were given permission. That is why when they heard that Gandhi Raj is coming, Gandhiji is going to distribute land to the poor people, one day they left tea gardens. They left tea gardens and they went to the Calcutta railway station. Unfortunately, there was a strike in the railway station, and they were held up in the railway station. They were beaten up very badly by the police. Now let us come to the last part of this question. What did Swaraj mean to the businessman? For the businessman, Swaraj meant there should be no colonial restrictions on trade. There should be no kind of colonial restrictions on trade. They should have the freedom of markets, freedom of trade. They wanted protection against import of foreign goods. They wanted protection against import of foreign goods. So they wanted more tax should be levied on imported goods. They wanted a rupee sterling foreign exchange ratio that would discourage imports. So they wanted a rupee sterling foreign exchange ratio that would discourage import. They wanted import should be discouraged and export should be encouraged. So we have seen what did Swaraj mean to different people. We saw what did Swaraj mean to the peasants. We saw what did Swaraj mean to the tribals. We saw what did Swaraj mean to the plantation workers, and the last we saw what did Swaraj mean to the businessmen. So please write down these questions and answers. Please read the chapter very well. I want to read this chapter is very important. I want you to read this chapter 2 or 3 times and write down the questions neatly in your notebook. And once you have completed writing these notes, you can send it to me through my WhatsApp number. Please study seriously and write down the exam well. Nobody should skip exams.